All right, for more on this now, let's cross over and talk live to Max Keiser, financial analyst and host of RT's Keiser Report, and the one man constantly ruffling the feathers of the world's financial hierarchy. Thank you for coming on the programme today. Let's talk about Greece's new Prime Minister, Lucas Papademos, former Vice President of the European Central Bank, formerly of the Federal Reserve of Boston, and now Mario Monti, set to be the new Italian PM, formerly with Goldman Sachs and reputedly a member of the super-secret Bilderberg Group. Are bankers taking over politics?
Well, it's a night of the living dead. And all of these zombie bankers, we can't get rid of them. You can't kill them. Iceland thought that they had killed off their zombie terrorist bankers, but they've risen again, and they're now stalking Iceland. You'd have thought the 9/11 attacks would have wiped out those terrorist zombie bankers at Cantor Fitzgerald and Morgan Stanley, but they live to bank another day. They are a plague around the world, and certainly in Europe, as you pointed out, there are no elections, but they're putting bankers in charge to bring about total banker domination as the world goes down a slippery slope into banker hell.
But now, Max, if indeed these former bankers are taking political control, what are their main priorities? What are their agendas? Are we talking, geopolitical strategies here, or what?
The main agenda is to create more debt. So in the Eurozone, they have an opportunity to bring all the balance sheets of all the countries together and create new lending facilities like EFSF, which is a new €5 trillion lending facility. And they want to build on that to create 10, 20 trillion euro lending facilities, because bankers get paid on how much debt they create. Never mind the fact that to pay for the debt, ultimately they have to impose more austerity measures. So more austerity measures, more debt, more fees for bankers, more financial terrorism.
So the more fees, the more loans, the more force-feeding of austerity measures here. It would seem that it's a very small elite that are continuing to benefit from all this.
Absolutely. It's an elite. It's an elite of the top zombie bankers in the world. They're continuing the same plays that they've been doing now for the last few years. There used to be a thing called moral hazard, where if banks took risk, they would be at some point penalized by the system. But now, the more risk that they take, the greater the rewards they get. The more risks that they take, the lower interest rates are kept, and the more rewards they get. So look at MF Global in America. JP Morgan is now going to step in front of the allocated accounts of customers of MF Global and actually steal money from their accounts. We haven't seen this level of larceny and theft since the Nazis stole assets from people in Germany in the 30s. They actually just went into their accounts and stole the money. Now JP Morgan and others are just going into accounts, allocated banking accounts at MF Global, and they're stealing their money. This is outrageous. This hasn't been done in decades, but you have to hand it to them. They have staying power, these zombies, these terrorists, and there's no regulations in place at all. There's no SEC with any teeth. There's no FSA. There's no Serious Fraud Office. There's no regulations at all. Interest rates are 0%, so expect more of the same.
But if there's no regulation at all, and none of these bankers and institutions are being penalized by the system, what does that mean? Does that mean that they are part of the system, or they're all in bed together, or are they just untouchable because of their deep pockets?
Well, in the Eurozone, what we're seeing is, in place of elected officials, put in place unelected bankers, and of course they work together. They work with the central banks to the key is keeping interest rates near 0%, because this allows them to fund their speculations at zero cost. They don't want to spend any money to borrow money to put the outrageous bets on the table, and every time they lose a bet, then they impose more austerity measures. Every time they win a bet, they keep 100% of the profits.
But now, Max, I'm sorry if I can just jump in for a moment. I'm sorry, I do apologise for interrupting you there. But, but politicians have certainly messed up the Eurozone. There's no question about that. But surely bankers would know better about finance. Would they not be, then, perhaps the right people to actually fill these leading political positions?
Well, that's the argument of somebody who's a victim of wife beating. So you're saying that you're being beaten unmercifully by your husband, but you're saying he's the best guy to be in place as my husband because he knows how much he's beating me. So I need him to remain my husband because he knows best about how I'm being beaten. I mean, you're taking the argument of a victim. You're taking the argument of someone who's being beaten in this way, and you're defending, and you're saying, well, things will get better, the wife beating will stop, or it's unconscionable even that you would make such an argument. I mean, I don't mean to be personally making this case against you, but this is what you hear all the time. People say, well, the bankers know best. Well, the bankers are the ones who have stolen all the money. So are we going to give them more ability to steal more money and impose more austerity measures? That's insane.
Is there, Max, finally, is there an end game to all of this? As you suggest, the bankers continue to line their pockets. They're now manning the thrones, manning the helms of certain European countries. The people, certainly in your eyes, seem absolutely powerless here. Is there any end game?
Yes, the end game is a mass panic buying of gold and silver. And then this will force the banks to go the way of Enron. J.P. Morgan will one day wake up, it'll go the way of Enron. It'll be worth zero. Same thing for BNP. Same thing for many of these banks. And the gold and silver vigilantes who are decapitalizing. Remember, when you're fighting vampires, you need a silver stake and put it through their heart. This is what gold and silver acts like when you're fighting terrorist banking zombies on Wall Street. That's why gold and silver continue to go higher. When it gets to a certain tipping point, these banks' balance sheets will blow up, and we'll have a new gold standard around the world, and this will be a rebirth of the global economy. But there'll be a tremendous amount of pain beforehand, and a lot of people like Barack Obama in America talking about political solutions when he is, in fact, in bed with the worst financial terrorist in the world. The guy is quite embarrassing. As my president, I'm embarrassed by that.
All right, Max Keiser, financial analyst and, of course, host of RT's Keiser Report. Many thanks.